everyone, and welcome to the Ella Johnson Show. It is such a great week here in Atlanta. I am still celebrating my birthday, but each night this week, I'm celebrating my birthday with you guys because we are coming here live every single night this week. It's almost like a revival. And we're bringing true stories and music and the whole nine to you here on the Ella Johnson Show this week. As you can tell, I have Miss Blossom Rogers in the house with me tonight. We are surviving domestic violence. The story tonight from this young woman right here is going to wow you. Now, she's been on my broadcast before, so I consider her a friend. You know, I always told you, if you come to the Ella Johnson Show, you are always welcome here and your family. So she is back tonight to share with those of you who haven't had the pleasure of meeting her and hearing her story. But I want you guys, if you're watching from Facebook, I appreciate you for that. But do me a favor and just share the broadcast, tag it, to people that you know need to watch the show. Because you all, one thing about domestic violence, we all have somebody in our family who is suffering in silence, someone who's been molested, who is suffering in silence. And they've turned into adults and they're still suffering. So tonight we want you to be free because that's what we like to do on this show, right, Blossom?
Right.
Make sure that people aren't just suffering, but they take something from this show and be healed through it. Amen. So I want you to share it. If you're watching from YouTube, thank you as well. But I need you to do me a favor and share the broadcast as well. All right. And while you're there, subscribe so that you can always be informed when we have shows here on the Ella Johnson Show. Now, let me talk about a few things that we're going to do tonight. Now, for the comments, I want you guys, do me a favor. If you are watching the show, I want you to leave your comments, just like these people here are already doing. All is well. Thank you so much. And thank you. Thank you for the birthday wish. Yes. Listen, leave your comments here because we want to make sure that our guests know that you're watching and that you are interested in her story, and ask her some questions. You know, we're all hosts. This is all of our show tonight. Yeah. So I want you to just put your comments and just encouraging words right there in the comment section. But as you can see, that's how they come up on the screen as you leave your comments. So we appreciate that. Also, I want to talk to you. I want to thank all of those who have subscribed to the Ella Johnson Show, because I can tell that a lot of you did go there this week and subscribe. So thank you for that. But I want you to watch, and I want you to be engaging as well on the broadcast. And also, all my June babies, where are you? If you were born in this month, right along with me, I want to know where you are. Shout it out. Tell me where you're watching from. I want to say happy birthday. You may have already had your birthday, but your birthday may be coming up. But it's Gemini season because I'm a Gemini, you're a Gemini. So let's have fun. It's our week to celebrate. And also, if you want to be a guest on the Ella Johnson Show, here's how you do it. All you have to do is just send me a text at 407-334-6997, or you can just go to my Facebook, send me an inbox message, or you can send an email to theellajohnsonshow@gmail.com. I'm always looking for people that want to share their stories. You may have a product that you're selling and you'd like to come on the broadcast. Let's do it, right? And if you have ideas for different show topics, I love your suggestions as well, right? So I am just very excited. Hello, Miss Shauna. How are you? Yeah, she says it's scary how many younger ladies go through this. That is very true, Shauna. The stats are alarming when it comes to child sexual rape, which is considered child molestation. So it happened in Miss Blossom's story. You're going to hear about all of that. That's all coming up. But I want you guys to do me a favor, please, and just share the broadcast. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, you will get to meet my beautiful guest, Miss Blossom Rogers. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. It's time for the Ella Johnson Show. I'm so excited that you've taken time out to tune in to the Ella Johnson Show. I hope you enjoy the broadcast. So sit back, relax, and I'll see you at the end of the show. You know, one day someone asked me, Ella, what is so special about doing talk shows? Like, why do you do it? I said, because I love for people to see that God is using them, because things don't happen to you. They actually happen through you. And now it's time for the Ella Johnson Show, where we set the table for real talk conversations. So hit that share button and invite your family and friends to watch the Ella Johnson Show. Stay tuned. And we're back, guys. We're back. Welcome back to the Ella Johnson Show. Listen, if you just tuned in, tonight is going to be an awesome, awesome broadcast. I have this wonderful, beautiful woman that's sitting here with me. Her story is unbelievable, but she is doing something with it. Let me tell you, Miss Blossom Rogers is doing something with it, and you're going to hear all of it tonight. But I want to first say this. Child sexual abuse, which is AKA child molestation, is still happening in our families, guys. This isn't something that's of the past. It's still happening. And hopefully tonight you'll hear her story and you'll kind of recognize some of these things in your own families. I know it's one of those things that we don't like to, we like to look away from it. Mm-hmm. But as a result, our children are turning into sex offenders. Mm-hmm. Based on the FBI, guys, those children that are being molested, historically they're turning into offenders because of what happened to them as children. Mm-hmm. All right. And those children turn into offenders amongst other things. Now, from 2019 to 2020, they're saying that there were at least 137,000 rape incidents. 22%, which I think is pretty high, Blossom, was committed by 10 to 19-year-olds. Mm-hmm. Now, how in the world would a 10-year-old know to go out and rape another woman unless it happened to him?
That's right. And you know what? First of all, I want to thank God for allowing me to be here on the show. I love you. I love you. Every time I see you, I say, there go pretty girl. There go pretty girl. Ah! And happy birthday.
Thank you, love. Thank you. Thank you.
One thing about me, if I could be true with Blossom, I could be true with anybody else. So I'm not ashamed of nothing I've been through or what I'm going to talk about tonight, because we're just as sick as our secrets. Okay. Hurt people. Okay.
Right.
Only way that with the molestation, I went through that, but I was raised in a time where you didn't give mama food out and you didn't tell what was going on in the house. Okay. My great grandmama used to say, you can live in a glass house and people can walk past all day long, but nobody knows what's going on unless somebody come out and tell it.
Right.
When it comes to African American, it's two M words that we don't like to use. That's molestation and mental illness. And God bless me, I've been through both of them. And I'm able to sit here today. And it's because of God and his grace and his mercy. Yes. Sunday, I celebrated 19 years clean because I was on crack for 19 years. And I tell everybody, I liked it smoking crack. I liked it, everything about it. I liked the parties, this, that. I did everything out there but slept with an animal. And that was just a yet. Because if the dope boy would have said, Blossom, sleep with that dog for a hit of crack, I would have. That's how bad, that's how low my self-esteem was. I know somebody said, did she say that? Yes, I said that. Because each time God allows me to get on a platform and tell my story, it's more and more healing. You know, I was sick for 19 years. I don't want to die and have not lived, if that makes sense.
Right.
I don't want to die and have not lived. So when the books came out in 2010, the books wasn't to hurt anybody. The books are to help somebody. I'm 57 years old. So for 19 years, I smoked crack cocaine. So book number one, I'm the author of 4 books, From Under a Bridge 1, From Under a Bridge 2, and They Laugh, and When They Laugh, because we got 2 kinds of laughter. Are they laughing with you or at you? I had a friend tell me I smile, but I don't play. You know what I'm saying? Life is just too short to sit around and continue to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. Am I perfect? No, but I serve a perfect God. That's right. The only reason I'm sitting here today. So I love to laugh and have a good time. People say, how can you laugh? Because I'm free. I'm free.
That's right. Absolutely.
It is.
Absolutely.
You know what? You better enjoy life, because somebody didn't wake up to this morning. Somebody's going through some molestation issues right now. You know what I'm saying? Which is sad. We have to realize that it's a demonic spirit. You know what I'm saying? It's back in Solomon and Gomorrah days.
Right.
It's a generation.
And it's nothing that you did.
Right.
You're a child. You can't consent to sex. So it was forced upon
because we've been taught that it's our fault. For anybody who's went through molestation, we were children. Anytime, and I also want to say too, anytime that an adult touches a child in an inappropriate area, that's still a form of molestation. You know, everybody want to pick and choose what is what. If a grown-up is touching a child and then telling that child not to say nothing, that's molestation. Okay?
That's right.
No
matter which way you slice it.
You can slice it, spoon it, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because back in our great grandmother's days, it was a norm for Uncle Bubba to take him to the barn and do this, and the mom was, he didn't mean that. They knew what they were doing. But they couldn't help them because they hadn't been helped themselves. You understand me?
Right. And that's exactly what we're doing tonight, is making sure that let's talk about it. Let's be as honest and as real as we can about this subject, so that we can go back and look into our own lives. But I want to introduce you first, right? I got to introduce her first. I didn't even just introduce her. She's basically told you everything that I was going to say. But anyway, besides the fact that she's absolutely beautiful and such a free spirit, she works at the University of Alabama, but she wasn't always there. This show, she's going to talk about how she went from crack to Christ, right?
Amen.
That could be the title.
That'll preach.
That's really it. Yeah.
Somebody gonna preach that Sunday.
Somebody's gonna preach that. From crack to Christ, right? Yes, and on my birthday, she did celebrate. She already mentioned that, but she did celebrate 19 years sober. So this night we are celebrating you as well as my birthday.
Amen.
That to me is a new birthing as well. You know, every year that you go without subjecting yourself to those things, then you're still winning. So I just want to celebrate you on that. She's an author, motivational speaker, and she's soon going to be featured in her own documentary. Yes. Yeah. That's coming out by the end of the summer. I can't wait. I told her I'm coming there and I'm going live.
Amen.
This is going to be an exciting event for you. She's also in a movie, A Grandmother's Faith. Now that hasn't come out yet, but it will be out soon. She plays Miss Maybelline Johnson as the mother, the grandmother. So I'm excited about that. And she'd never done acting before.
Never.
Look at God.
Now I act to get my dope. You know what I'm saying? You had to act. You had to perform. You know what I'm saying? But your gifts.
Let's hear about that. I want to hear about that. How did you act to get dope?
You have to do? You know what I'm saying? A lot of people back home. My nickname back home is B. I'm originally from Florida. So this is where everything happened in Daytona Beach area, New Smyrna Beach area. And then God sent me to Miami for treatment. But back then, I was always the class clown because I felt like if I made you laugh, that made me forget about what I was going through. Okay. So my teachers, I had Caucasian teachers like Blossom. Please sit down. You're talking a little bit too much today. But I love to laugh and have a good time. I really do, because I held my head down for so long. So today, it is what it is. Either we're going to barbecue or mildew. They're going to talk about you regardless. You understand me? As long as they don't put their hands on me, we doing just fine. Because God's still working on me now.
I know, right?
Yeah, he still. Because I still.
But Blossom is the reason that we call it Real Talk TV. You're going to get the real deal tonight. Right?
Because if I be fake, I'll go back. You understand? If I start hiding stuff, that's a setup to go backwards. So let's talk. I
like this. I like this right here. Before we get into it, though, I like this. What All Is Well said, because you know how we say hurt people, and that's how we've always heard it. Mm-hmm. But I like what he said. Hurt, or he or she, I'm not sure who this is. Hurt people can also help people. Yeah. I love it. I think people that are helped are usually helped more by hurt people, to be
Right.
honest with you, because then we
Right.
have a passion for something. And that's where our
Wow.
purpose is in our passion. That's where your purpose is in your passion.
Amen.
So
I
I
received that.
like that all as
Yeah.
well. Thank you. I
That's yeah.
received that. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm
So
gonna start saying it like you said it, if you
yeah,
don't
because
mind.
that's good right there. That'll preach.
I like that.
Somebody gonna preach that too Sunday. Watch and see.
We're gonna preach people happy tonight, right, Blossom?
That's right.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
So the books from Under Bridge 1 talks about the first part of my life, and then book 2 talks about my second part. So book 1, I talk about my molestation. I talk about how I got pregnant at an early age. I talk about how I got married at an early age. And I talk about how I got with the guy who was already on crack. And I don't know why we think we could change people when we could barely change ourselves. We can't change ourselves. It takes God. Okay.
Right.
Book number 2, I talk about how I've been to prison. My prison number is 589931. I had a number for the rest of my life. It's just not a functional number. When I went to prison, I was chopping trees. One girl on one side, one on the other side in Levy, Florida. I talk about how I was in a homosexual relationship, being molested and raped. I thought Blossom, let me talk about it, because everything I'm saying is about Blossom. I'm not here to judge nobody. I don't have no heaven nor hell to put nobody in. I'm just sharing my story with y'all tonight. So I don't want nobody to feel offended, say, oh, she's trying to put me down. No, I'm here to try to help lift you up. Because if I can't help you, I'm not going to hinder you. Okay. I talk about how I was involved with the guy who was HIV positive, but he never told me. But I'm going to tell you about the God that I serve. I'm here 19 years clean, don't have AIDS, and don't have HIV. And you have people say, oh, your immune system was so strong. No, that was the blood of Jesus.
That was God. Yes, you better say
understand me?
Nobody wants to give him credit, but he has to get the glory.
That's the one. That's the one, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And we never had safe sex. Never. So, but unfortunately, he died 12 years ago due to complications. So God kept me for a reason. He kept me for a reason. I didn't see all that back then, but I'm seeing it more and more each day because he's.
So let's do this, Blossom, because I wanna take everybody back because I know you guys are like, well, I want to hear her story. I want to know, where did it all begin, because I want to take you through that, because we really do need to watch our children.
Yeah,
because we just think they're just being rebellious when they're acting out. We immediately, and I'm just being real, and there's a reason for it. So let's go back to when you were 5 years old, Blossom. Take us in Daytona Beach to that 5-year-old girl who was probably playing with dolls and playing, and how your innocence was taken. Take us back.
Well, I was born in a little town called New Smyrna. It's like 45 minutes from Daytona, and my great grandmother, she used to have boarders. And I don't know if I'm way older than you, so you wouldn't know. But we had these big cars.
You're not way older than me, but okay, I'll take it.
We had cars that they was real heavy, and you had to pedal it, And so my great grandmother, she wouldn't let me go outside and play with the other kids. So she had a long hall. So I would ride to one end of the hall and then ride to the other end. So at this time, I remember the guy was in the middle bedroom, and it was bunk beds in there because she had a boarding room. And I remember I was paddling my little bicycle. Car. It was a purple car. And I remember him saying, hey, gal, back in them days, you did what adults told you to do. Not like these kids are now. I ain't doing it. You better not tell an adult what you wasn't going to do back in them days. Right. So I remember going into the room. I was about 5 years old. And I remember going into the room. And I said, "Hon," I remember putting my little hands on the bunk bed because he was on the bottom part. And I remember him saying, "You want to kiss my worm?" Well, back then, like I said, you just did what adults told you to do. And so that was the first time I remember something happened. And I didn't tell nobody because I thought it was normal. You know what I'm saying? I just thought it was normal that you do stuff like that. And as we know, I can't really talk about all details, but I just want to think that he had me kiss his worm at 5. And I remember just skipping out the room and getting back in my little car and going on. Didn't know that was something wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I want people to hear me. only time somebody could do something like that to a child or to anybody because something has been done to them. You just don't grow up saying, I want to molest a child. You just don't want to you don't grow up saying, I want to molest a little girl or a little boy, because little boys was getting molested back then as well. Because like you said, we have to watch our children because they start acting out, and the first thing, the oldest said, she just fast. No, why is she fast? Well, where's she get that from? You understand me?
Yes.
I was used to playing with little rag dolls, paper dolls, and all that kind of stuff. At the age of 5, I started. You know how some kids fall in love with a horse on a merry-go-round. Now let me get this straight, because I'm not disrespecting my great grandmother, because she raised me to the best of her ability. Okay,
that's right.
She had a baby at the age of 13. As we know, that was a form of molestation. It was passed down. We have to remember we have generational curses as well. People don't want to accept that, but things happen. And like I said, people just want to push it up under the rug. But eventually your rug's so bumpy because you got all these secrets up under the rug. So let's take the rug and clean it out today, because somebody's going through what I went through, and you still haven't told nobody. So we have a lot of older people that could not talk about it in the 80s and 90s and can remember going through all this stuff, or remember having a child from their uncle or this kind of stuff. It's real. It's just not on TV. We're dealing with real stuff.
And something's going to trigger it. You're going to have to deal with it. Something will trigger it one day. Yeah.
You know what? Even though I went through the molestation and rape and all that, with my kids, I did not sexually or physically abuse them, but mentally, I put my babies through a lot, because I was a pop-up mom. 1 minute I'm here, 1 minute I'm gone. It's always some kind. We all going through something. Like I tell a lot of people, my bridge might not be yours and yours might not be mine, but we all got some kind of bridge that we need to come from up under and live. Okay. So I remember, back in the days, my great grandmother was taught that if a child has wingworms, you give them beer to kill the worms. Well, we know that didn't work, but she did what she did.
I've heard that too, though. Yeah. I've heard that.
So every Sunday, you know how some kids fall in love with a horse on a merry-go-round or a parade? I fell in love with a horse on the can of Colt 45. So every Sunday was my medicine day. Every Sunday.
That was the day they gave you the Colt 45.
Yeah. So she would say, Monkey, it's time. My nickname was Monkey. She said, Monkey, it was time for your medicine. And I had a little red cup, and I used to run down the hall. And I don't know why old African Americans got them long old halls. And I remember just wide open. I'm just wide open. And it took 2 hands for me to pull the refrigerator open. And there was my medicine. So I put the can up on one arm, and I had a red little cup, and I'm running down the hall so she could open. She couldn't open it up because I hadn't shook it all up. But she had to swing, you had the chains from the ceiling, and I would get on there, I'd be just swinging, I'm waiting for it. And I remember when I take the first sip, I was saying, like I'm really grown, I don't know what I'm doing. But it made me happy, you know what I'm saying? So I'm also a recovered alcoholic. Alcohol is my first drug of choice, and crack cocaine is my second. Okay. So like I said, then I remember going through the molestation with my abuser. And I still love him to the day because he raised me. You know what I'm saying?
Your stepfather.
Yes. Right? And so what people don't realize, anything you do for the Lord is gonna last. And what kept me out there for so long, because I was trying to defend and prove that these things happen. But
to whom were you doing that with, Blossom?
Family members, people in the streets. Because
at some point you told. Yes,
I did tell. I told one of my siblings, and and so
they didn't believe you.
Yeah, and it was used against me. So that's why sometimes I'm very skeptical sometimes on. It just depends on what it is, because it was all used against me, and and everything just broke out. It was a big mess. To this day, I still can remember things that were said, things that was done, but God has taught me how to forgive. Will I ever forget? No. But the forgiveness part, that's what matters. And I want somebody to hear me too. The forgiveness is not for them, it's for us, y'all. That's because right. If God didn't teach me how to forgive my abuser and how to forgive myself, because I did a lot of things that I was not raised to do. I did a lot of things. A lot of stuff I can't talk about. A lot of stuff people can't handle the truth. You know, so eventually I might write another book and it come out then. It just depends. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, because sometimes some things are best kept a secret. All right.
Some things are. I agree.
Yeah.
Can't tell it all.
You
because
can't.
So many people involved, people get hurt.
Now, when it came to my abuse part, I had to write that because, like I said, the books are not to hurt anybody, it's to help somebody. Since God has blessed me to write these books, I've had so many people to come up, men, women, children, tell me what they've been through. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it's about. It's about helping somebody get free. It's bondage is bad.
Because that's what's going to happen if you don't let it go. It's going to stay. It's going to keep you from your And
if you don't deal with your issue will deal with you. My issue wasn't the crack cocaine or the alcohol. My issue was because I had got molested. So
now you were molested up until you were age 15, what, 16? 15.
I got pregnant at 16.
Now who did you get pregnant by?
From another guy. It wasn't from my stepfather. I got pregnant on purpose, thinking that the guy was going to take me away from it. You know, I don't know why we think that babies will keep a man. You know, it's not true. All of us are still best friends and everything, but that didn't happen. So God bless me. I have 3 sons, all grown, and I have 13 grandbabies and 3 great-grands. So I thank God. What I missed with my sons, God's blessed me. I'm able to do it with my grandchildren, my
isn't that beautiful?
Yeah,
oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that's
just
awesome.
March, God bless it. I was 5 other women and myself. We were honored and put into the Black Heritage Museum back home. So when my grand and my great grand go through this museum, they're gonna see their grandmama on the wall. Not no mugshot, but a
what?
Yeah. So we were put up in the museum. I got sick and I had to be hospitalized that day. So my mother went and received my award. But it was just a blessing being asked to come back to the place where they used to spit and kick and hit and talk about me and all that. So now I'm in the museum back home. So that's why we had.
And now they got to pay to come and see you.
You used
to spit on me.
So it's truly, truly an honor. When I was asked, I broke down crying because, and each time God does something, it just brings more and more tears because I thought I would never amount to those because I believe what people were saying. That's why we have to look in the mirror and encourage ourselves because everybody's not going to pat you.
That's right. You better say it.
And I'm not saying be high-minded, but you got to encourage yourself.
You have to.
You got to be like that little train. I know I can. I know I can. So like I said, when I went through all that.
Now you're saying I knew I could.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
It's just, it's I can't explain it because like I said, 19 years out there in those streets, drinking and drugging, prostituting, doing everything. I can't never get that back, but I want my latter years to be better than my beginning.
Yes, and he promised that. God promised.
That's what he said. And that's that's happening as
let's talk about this because people being on crack and drugs and stuff that still exists, Blossom. Mm-hmm. We know that. And you were just fortunate. A lot of people lose their lives out there in the streets. But these shows are so that we can be mindful and be aware that it does, and it could go the wrong way, but we can do something about it.
Now, I tried the marijuana. I had somebody that gave me some marijuana dipped in embalming fluid. The drugs that they have out now is not compared to what we had back then. We had some drugs, but what they got out here now, I'm glad that God told me to come on in. Because that Molly, I'm glad I didn't meet Molly. I'm glad I didn't meet fentanyl. My heart goes out to them people because it's still out there. I tell people I don't need to put on a lab coat. I don't have a comeback. I can't go out there. I've known some people who can go out there for about a week or two and come back in and start the treatment back over. I don't have that kind. It's not even luck. I don't have a comeback. So I don't need to put on an experiment, lab coat and go experiment out there because I won't make it back. So that's what helps me. And then another thing, I keep my recovery in my heart, not my mind, because our mind's a battlefield. I stay clean and sober there because Blossom wants to stay clean and sober. All the other times I try to do it for mama, church, children, man, and I always went back because soon as somebody said something to hurt my feelings, there I was. But I hadn't dealt with the issue yet, and the issue was being molested. Deal with, you know how you can live in the most prettiest house there is. When you drive up to the house, like in homes in Atlanta, them some nice homes. But if you drive up to them long driveway and it's always branches and leaves in the yard, it's gonna make the house look bad. So what you're gonna have to do is get out, get you an axe, chop that tree from the root, bring that tree down. So my root was being molested.
Right.
So once I dealt with that, because you gotta hurt in order to heal, if that makes sense.
Right. That makes sense.
You know, so I went through 12 steps, NACA, I went through all of that. But if you're not ready, if you don't want it, you're not going to, you know, you have so many people saying, oh, all you got to do is just go to the, you don't know what you got to do. You don't know what kind of trauma people have been through. You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody, I used to tell people I would rather get a lick, a black eye, depends on who gave me the black eye, because black eye lasts about 2 weeks, okay? But a word will stick with you for the rest of your life.
Because it gets in your spirit and your soul. It goes that deep. Yeah.
So when you deal with them issues, yeah, they said that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did that. But I don't go back out there smoking no more. You know what I'm saying? I used to run.
So Blossom, let's talk about, take everybody through these 19 years when you were out there because 19 years is a long time to be on the streets and being a crack addict.
Mm-hmm.
Like most people don't survive that long out there, but you did. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about what you were experiencing out there. Like, where were you staying and who were you running into? What kinds of issues did you run into when you were out there?
When I didn't have my kids, on somebody's couch, you know what I'm saying? I had to sleep with many people for just to be able to stay at the house one night, you know what I'm saying? I was doing, you know, me, this person, that person, all of us in the same bed together. I did everything out there. I mean, I did everything out there for a hit of crack, for a place to stay. And you know, once you run out of money in crack, you got to get up and go. Or you got to bring something. Girl, you stay here as long as you want. You know that's not gonna last. I don't know why they said it, because I've said the same thing, girl, you can stay here. But in the morning when all the dope and everything goes, where you finna go? What you finna do now? Time to go.
Where you going? Yeah. It's time to go.
You out here fluffing up the pillows and all that. It's time to go.
You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell out of here.
Out of here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because you ain't bringing it to the table. And I don't like being around people who saying, we all in the house. We ain't nobody got no dope. We all ailing. And you got people saying, I'm fit to go get us a hit. Either you're going to do it or you're not. I don't like to be around people like that. You know what I'm saying? So it was, I mean, sometimes I went through, I'm sitting here trying to make sure I say things the right way. But
not on this show. You don't have to say things the right way. You know that. But say it how it is.
Yeah. You know, them older pops, you know what I'm saying, that smelling like gun smoke, and you like, you know, that kind of stuff, you know what I'm saying? And I look like Tales from the Crypt. I didn't like water, and water didn't like me, okay? So you smelt me coming before you seen me coming. I was weighing about 125 pounds, cheeks all sucked in. And yeah, that part right there. And I thought I was the finest thing there was. You hear me? I thought I was the finest thing there was. But that was my last charge was the aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Because I was a fighter out there. Because I had so much hurt down inside. But you know what? In reality, I was fighting myself.
Right.
I was fighting myself. And that's the sad part, because the punches wasn't going to nobody else but me. So that meant the punches was going to jail, rehab, prison, While I was in prison, my brother died, so I couldn't come home to the funeral, so I used that as a crutch. Then I was, because my kids didn't want to be around me. They didn't hate me, but they hated the things that I was doing. I got all sons, so them boys didn't want to hear nothing about their mama out there like that. You know what I'm saying? But at that time, I thank God for my mother and my great grandmother, because they raised my kids, because I didn't have time for my kids. And I thank God that they took them, because of me and my carelessness, somebody could have done to them, you know, what was done to me.
That's right.
I had to deal with all that. I had to go through counseling, all of that, because not wanting to be around your children because you chose crack, man, woman over them, that tears with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like I said, it's just, you know, I had started stealing, driving a getaway car. Somebody was gonna kill me out there. You know what I'm saying? That's how bad it had got.
I read somewhere that you stole a lot.
Yo, yeah.
You would steal a taste out of somebody's mouth.
Baby, you know how a pound cake, your grandma made that pound cake? I've been stole the sugar out of it. When you bite it, it's bitter. I don't know what. You gotta be good to steal sugar out of cake now. Oh, you see your pretty eyeshadow you got on, girl. I done did like that. You then said, "Where your eye?" Blossom got it, and I was trying to sell it to somebody else. Girl, they used to hate to see me. You know how people look at the blood and say, "Oh, here come Mary." Girl, they look at the blood and say, "Here come Blossom." They used to pick their whole house up and move, because I was mean. Girl, I was just fighting people just because I had so much of hell.
You fought people too?
Yeah. And I remember one time I got double teamed. Them girls, they beat me. Like I told you, I'll tell the truth about Blossom. Them girls put a whooping on me because I put myself in a predicament that I had no business doing that. It's just like they had the gun, but I gave them the bullets. And anytime you get a bullet from somebody, they will shoot everything they got at you. You know what I'm saying? And I did that. You know what I'm saying? I remember one time I had got hospitalized. I had been in the hospital for 3 days, they told me. Alcohol poisoning. I remember people coming into the room talking to me, but I was in a rubber room for 3 days because of alcohol poisoning. That's how bad of an alcoholic I was. So today, you know, I don't knock nobody who can take you know, like some people that come home from work and they show on Facebook how they got their bottle of wine. I can't do that, because if I don't play with wine coolers, because that'll lead me to wine. Then wine gonna lead me to Captain Morgan, because me and Captain Morgan, we had a good time out there. Then I'm going to smoke some crack. You understand me? Wow. So what might be good for you, it might not be good for me. We got to do what is best for us. So going in and out, you know, beatings, women, men, just going in and out, and then went to prison, came home, got back around the same people, places, and things. And I don't know why when we get out, we go back around and we sure miss you. They ain't send me no money for no debit cakes, no stamps. I was in there drinking water sandwiches. That meant drink some water and lay down somewhere, you know. But because I hadn't dealt with my issue, people pleasing, and we had to be careful of that. People pleasing. So this one time I had caught the charge, and I told him, I said, look, send me back to prison, because I wasn't for to pay no probation. I wasn't for to go in there and see them people, and I wasn't for to stop smoking crack. So at this time, they said they was offering me 9 years. So when I went to prison the first time, they gave me a 3-year sentence. I did 12 months off of that. So when they offered me the 9 off all the credit, and back then it was knocking off 1/3 when you hit the door. Off of 9, I did 5 years. So I was ready to roll. My mom was like, you could do it. No, you ain't got to do it. I got to do it.
That's right.
Like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. and me and probation, we was not good friends at all. You know what I'm saying?
You violated probation?
Huh?
Did you violate your probation?
Oh, baby, that was my middle name. Baby.
Violator.
So this time they wanted to send me 9 years. Off of 9, I did 5. I was ready because that meant I came home free. But I'm going to tell you about God is with us all through everything we go through. He said he'll never leave us and nor forsake us. And that is so true. So when I got into the courtroom, I'm handcuffed, my lawyer here, and there was a Caucasian guy sitting over in the jury box the same judge who sentenced me to prison the first time, he's still up there. So I know I said I'm finna ride this time. So the state attorney, he said, so back then my name was White. He said, so tell me, give me a good reason why we should send Miss White back to prison. Baby, it was so much, they was taking the books and just flying through trying to find a reason. At the time, the judge put his legs up on his desk, and with the white, it was a Caucasian guy over there, and all of a sudden, the Caucasian guy looked at the judge, just nodded his head. So the judge said, okay, all right, let's carry on. So they went to saying all these big lawyer words. So at this time, my lawyer, he's saying, oh my God. I said, what is it? I got scared now. He said, oh my God. I said, what is it? I'm handcuffed, slobbering, crying. He said, I've never seen it before. So I'm thinking they went over the guideline and sentenced me. I said, how much time I got? He said, he looked down at me. He said, Blossom, you going home? I said, who? Who going home? When I tell you I walked out there with no paper, no probation, no nothing. So my mom and them, they was all going to this church, and God bless, I started going to church with them. I got a good job, and being in church, it was so much. It was like I was just floating. I was seeing people that was all in the spirit and everything. And I said, the same way I used to look at people that were smoking crack, I want the same thing I want to do when it came how I seen people in the church. But see, I went back to them people, places, and things, and I relapsed. So I'll never forget. I was turning 35. And I was in my kids' room. They was somewhere playing, and I was drinking a beer on my birthday. And I remember going to the window because they had a long window in the room. And I remember looking up to the window. I said, Lord, if it's your will, bless me with the utterance in tongues. And he gave it to me right then. He baptized me right then and now. So at this time, this young lady that was asking me to go to church with her and everything, she was explaining everything to me what I was going through because I didn't know. Because I'm just flowing all day. I didn't know what was going on. But I still went back out there harder. Because once you go back out 7 times worse. So like I said, going back and forth. And then I got with the guy who was on the crack, the one who was HIV. And it got real bad. I mean, it was real bad. I was starting to get real violent, just mean. I remember one time we was in the hotel and we had a crock pot. And I remember warming that up. And it was hot grease, and I was getting ready to throw it on that man. And I'm just saying how God just stopped me.
Hot grease?
Yeah.
I thought we did grits. I didn't know we did grease.
I'm telling you, grease. Oof. I set the house on fire with me one time, So I tell people, I used to tell them, I said, if I set the house on fire with me, you think I care about doing it?
I know, right? Well, that's true.
I don't know if I was too scared to live and too scared to die.
Right.
When I tried to commit suicide, I made sure there were no bullets in the gun. That's the kind of person I was. I looked in the barrel.
You really didn't want to die,
right?
You just wanted to.
I wanted some relief. I just wanted some relief.
Yeah.
So, like I said, when this one
night, the
night,
only time you tried to commit suicide was that one time with the gun?
I tried to take. I took an overdose. But I'm gonna tell you, I made sure that the bottle was next to me so they didn't know what to do. Girl, I was a nut out there. People, they would be like, B. I said, yeah, well, nobody but God. I'm telling y'all.
Nobody but God.
I remember one time I was with this guy, he had made me mad, and I literally ran him over. And he had to pull the bicycle from up under the front of the car. So when he got away, I'm still driving down the road. It was night, and the police got behind me. And I'm a fast talker. Still a hustler, but I hustle for God now. So they said, block it, because every police officer knew me in my town, because that's how ignorant I used to act in the streets. And they said, Blossom, we just got a call that you did a hit and run. I said, who? So they went right to the front of the car, and they seen where the tag was bent under the car. They said, Blossom, go home and park that car, and we don't want to see you no more tonight. I said, okay, girl. I drove the car home and stole it, and I cried myself to sleep. Many times I cried because I was on crack or I didn't have no crack, okay? So this one night, I was in Daytona, and I was in the dope hole, and I had been up like 2 weeks. I was so tired. I was just mentally tired. People used to ask me, Blossom, well, how did you have money? How did you get a car on that? Well, in Florida, if you have an addiction, you are able to get a disability check. So each month I got a check on the 3rd. Okay. Then one time they sent me back pay, $7,760.19. I got scared. I said, because they're going to find me somewhere dead. We used to have so much of smoke coming out, sis, that they thought we was Indians up in that room. That's how
No, I think I read somewhere you were doing $500 to $600 a day.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
One time I started getting hot on a Friday. Me and my pops, he's deceased now, but he was able to see me get clean and sober. We started getting hot on a Friday and ended Sunday morning. That's how much of stuff we had. You know what I'm saying? I blowed so much money out there. I blowed so much money. But by the grace of God, I'm still sitting here in my right mind. So I'm sitting in the crack house that night, and I still had the shirt, the shoes, and the purse I had on that night in the crack house. And all the other people was in the other room, and I went into the kitchen because I wanted to be by myself. And I knew it was a change because it was a different feeling. And I had a piece of paper in my pencil and a piece of paper and pencil in my purse, and I started writing God a letter. Still smoking crack. And I had people say, you were smoking while you was writing God. God already knew where I was. If he knew what a woman, when he met the woman at the well, he knew where she was, so he knew where I was. Okay?
That's right.
I was still smoking, writing, still smoking, writing. So the girl came in who owned the house and to give me another hit of crack. And she said, I said, well, next time you see me, I'll be clean and sober. And she laughed. But I still, because I was tired. This was a different tired. Yeah. So I took my last hit, put it on the table. I got the purse, put it on my shoulder, and I checked myself into the mental hospital where I always did to get some rest. So that morning they was doing my assessment. I said, "Ma'am, please don't let me go until you find me a place," because I just felt death. I felt death.
You felt death. What does that feel like? You felt death. What does that feel like, Blossom?
It's a feeling like ain't no good gonna come for this. It's just how like you how you could sense somebody like on the side of you or
yeah.
That's the way I was feeling, like something was just like hovering over me. I know now I realize it was a demonic spirit. Okay. I've heard a demonic spirit speak out of me at one time. I've heard that. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
That's why when it comes to these drugs and everything, and when you're laying up with different people, spirits do transform. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
People believe,
yes.
But they true. I heard a spirit speaking out of me. And so I remember I said, please don't let me go. And so she said, are you willing to be relocated? I said, yes, ma'am. And so it seemed like she was going about an hour, but that lady was going about 15 minutes. She came back. She said, Blossom, I found your place. I said, Lord, thank you. And I went to crying because I felt some relief.
Right.
I felt some relief. I don't know, like a toothache. Once they pull that tooth, you feel relieved. It might be hurting, but once they pull it, if you ever had
it's going to eventually end because it's
right.
Yeah,
and that's what it felt like, that somebody had pulled a tooth, and I was like, oh. And so they wasn't going to let me go. So that's when God opened the door down in Miami, and the people came and got me. So when I got down to Miami, I said, now, if I play the games I did in Daytona, they're going to kill me down here because Miami don't play. So
right.
I went through my inpatient, I went through my outpatient, and I didn't go back around to people, places, and things. So then, God bless me, I got a job working into a research company. Then I met my second husband. And I want people to hear me too. Even though I'm clean and sober, we still have life issues, okay?
Right.
So once I graduated college down there, became a national certified medical assistant. We got married, and we moved here to Alabama. Still good friends with him. But when I got here, I told him in Miami, I said, don't try to get me in Alabama and make a fool of me, because I didn't have no family here but him. All right. So at this time, I started feeling my spirit. He was messing around, and I want to talk to somebody. I had them older saints. I call them seasoned saints, telling me, "Baby, stay with him." He don't mean sister knock and sister flip flop. Trying to tell me, "Stay with him, baby." And I was doing it, but I was miserable,
thinking they knew better now, right? Yeah,
see,
okay.
They used to Fred messing with Helen down the street.
Right. It was the way of life. It was.
No.
Yeah.
See, when I was out in the streets, I felt like I deserved it. But I'm clean and sober now. I don't have to put up with him sleeping with some other woman. So I was asking God what to do because I didn't want to mess up. Because I had done everything out there. I had done slept with everybody's pet, elephant, giraffes, all that. I didn't want to go back to my old ways.
Now you don't literally mean animals.
No,
I want to make that clear. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's make that.
Yeah.
She slept with women, but she didn't sleep with dogs.
Thank you.
Okay.
So thank you for that, because they'd have had that live. You know what I'm saying?
What?
So other than that, let me reset it, because I know it's gonna be. I slept with men and women and threesomes. Never no animals. Okay. Never. That was just a yet. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, I had this woman. She called me, and he said stuffed animals. So I had this woman. When she called me, her voice is so pretty. She said, "May I speak to Miss Blossom?" I said, "Miss Blossom speaking." She said, "May I speak to Miss Blossom?" So I'm like, Miss Blossom speaking. I'm thinking the bill collector. She said, "I want to talk to you about your husband." So my mind totally. I had to snap and get right. She said, "I've been in your house." So definitely I sat straight up there and said, "You do what?" And she told me everything. And she described the inside of my house. And my home, I used to have wooden blinds, so you couldn't see from the outside in. So I said, "I'm going to tell you what." I said, if I'd have came home, because I was in Florida on a vacation. I said, if I'd have came home and caught you in my house, it would have been nothing nobody could have said. She said, "I know." She said, "He told me that you had left me." I couldn't blame everything on her, because I was married to him and I had the covenant with him.
Right.
So I had to pray and ask God what to do, because I was the kind of crackhead. I went to state to state, city to city, and I always ended up in a crack house with my elbows on the table saying, "How did I get here?" Because sometimes we are our worst enemy. So confronting him about that, he tried to lie, but the woman wasn't lying. So we ended up getting a divorce, but I didn't go back to getting high. First time buying a home, I lost at the foreclosure, because after the divorce, I couldn't afford everything. I lost the home, but I didn't go back to getting high.
Good.
So they gave me relocation money. So I'm in the home now that I got. And I opened the front door. Brand new car was taken for repo, but I didn't go back getting high. So what I'm trying to tell people, we can go through life issues, but we don't have to go back to them old people, places, and things. So I'm sitting here 19 years still clean. Am I perfect? No, but I serve a perfect God. Author of 4 books. Travel, tell my story. God's blessed me. I've been on Pastor Cliff O'Donnell show, 5 projects with TBN, had my own TV show out of Tupelo, Mississippi. I tell people not Google me. And back then I said Google me. That meant I had a warrant for my arrest. But now when you Google me, God is where God has opened all these doors. I was in California. They flew me out there for a women's conference, and this woman walked up to me. She said, "I saw you before." When you have people doing stuff like that, it's just a blessing, because people didn't want to be around me back in the day.
Yeah.
So God bless me. I am a nonprofit organization, which is called From Under a Bridge Safe Haven Home for Women. I went before Habitat 8 years ago and was asking them, could they build a home for women that want to stay clean and sober? Because if we don't have a safe place to go, we'll go back to them people, places, and things. So once I became 501c3, they couldn't build a house for me, but they gave me my land. So I have my land. I got my building permit. I have my blueprints. It's a 3-bedroom, 2 baths, washer, dryer, kitchen, nook area. We've been approved by God in the city. We get to house 6 women instead of 3 women. So now I'm waiting for God to give me the provision, because He already given me the vision.
That's
and
right.
Everything that I have pertaining to From Under a Bridge Safe Haven House for Women, He's touched people's heart. They gave to me. Gave. Who gives land away? God. All right.
That's it.
So my second home will be called Tears from Under a Bridge, because I cried many tears up on that bridge, and that'll be for women and children. Then, like I said, God bless me, I work for the University of Alabama. I work in research dealing with the opioid epidemic. We work with people that on the MAP program, medical assistant treatment. I'm the very first peer support specialist that they ever had at the UA. And you know, I'm sitting around people with PhDs and DVDs, but God bless me, I'm in there with JESUS behind me.
Yes, say that.
Next,
say that.
like I said, Sunday I just celebrated 19 years clean. Next Friday, June the 16th at 1:45, asking for prayer. I'm going to take my big test to become a drug counselor. So my passion is giving back and helping people come off the streets.
That's right. That's good.
So like I said, you know, then like with the movie, got the leading part, Miss Maybelline Johnson. I'm honored to play that. And then, like I said, my documentary is coming out. So, you know, it's truly a blessing. So what I'm saying is no matter where you start, it's where you end up at. I'm going to be a millionaire. That's why I tell everybody, remember the name Blossom, because you're gonna hear it again. Because y'all,
I believe it. I'm a believer. I'm a believer.
So like I say, that's what it's about. And I'm not gonna tell you everything because you're gonna have to go get the book. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Yeah.
If anybody ever need me, reach out. Facebook, Blossom Rogers. Phone number is 305-753-8164. Send me an email at BLOS2 White, WHITE at yahoo.com. And it's about, you know, back in the day, it took a village to raise us. The next door neighbor beat you, the next door neighbor beat you, the mama beat you. That's what it is now. It takes a village to be able to help these people when it comes to drugs. So like I said, I'm not the one to gossip. I'm not perfect, but I could just tell you what God has done for me. And like I said, believe in yourself, but most of all, believe in God. Because if He cleaned me up, He can clean you up. And like I said,
telling you, that's what I said on one of our posts. He could do it for her. He could do it for anybody.
Anybody. Yeah. So like I said, you just, and if you dealt with the molestation, you know, and mental illness. Last year, I was going back to see a psychiatrist. I want to say this. People make it seem so taboo. Oh, you went to see, girl, you crazy. No, crazy is not doing something to help you yourself.
That's right.
That's the crazy part.
That's right.
I didn't mind sitting up on that couch telling her, and she was a Christian psych. It was truly a blessing because I was getting help with my mental illness and I was getting help with my spirituality as well. Not ashamed to say that I take something for my depression because I'd rather take a pill than be sitting right here putting a pistol to my head. So I'm being transparent to let you know we all go through.
That's right.
Elijah, who was a mightiest prophet that went through depression, we're gonna go through depression. Get some help. Go talk to somebody. It's not. Don't let nobody make you feel bad about going and seeing a psychiatrist. There's nothing bad about that. The bad thing is when you don't want to do better for yourself. When we know better, we should do better. So, like,
well, I want to talk. I want to talk about you being under the bridge because, guys, there's a reason she named the books From Under a Bridge because she was actually living under a bridge in her car. Yeah. And if you look at the, I have a picture of the book, the copy of a book, From Under a Bridge, and this is under the bridge, and she was living in the car, and she, you know, fully explains that. So I really want people to understand why exactly it is that you were living under the bridge.
Because of the addiction, because of I didn't know how to, and up under that bridge, when I tell people He covered me because I would pull that car up. It was a 1993 Dynasty. And when I didn't have money for a hotel or I couldn't find nobody to trick with, I would pull that car up on the bridge. And this bridge was so big and people was out there fishing 24/7, but nobody ever bothered me. I slept in a fetal position for so long till sometime now I have to remind myself, straighten your legs out, you're in a bed or on the couch. But the enemy wants to keep us bound. You understand me? But each time I'm telling my story, I'm able to stretch my legs. I'm able to stretch my arms. So I'm telling y'all, if you don't I know I had y'all laughing and all that, but if you don't never hear me no more, start dealing with your issues so your issues can stop dealing with you. Y'all, I'm telling you, I'm free. One thing now, God has taught me, I don't have to defend and prove no more. Because as long as I know, my abuser know, and God know, That's all that matters. And anything we do for the Lord, it will last. There's no way in the world God will continue to keep opening doors for me to tell the same story all the time. So I'm telling you, even if you can't talk about it right now, start writing.
That's right. Journaling is very healthy. Journaling is very healthy. I agree.
I see you are not long. Okay. Like I said, baby, I'll take my pill quick and all is well. And all is well. Put on my little draw on my eyebrows, put on my little put my girdle on, my clothes, and go and carry on. Because I don't want to die and have not lived.
That's
like
right.
Tonight, this is more and more healing. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Each time he allows me, I don't care if I'm just telling my story in the grocery store, it's more and more healing. Because remember, 19 years I held it in. So he's allowed me 19 years to tell it out. So
we had a question for you. Yeah. All is Well says this. Have you ever thought about sharing your story as a comedian? You are funny, Blossom. You are, I've never seen somebody that can take such a traumatic story with so many things in it and make it, but you have to do that for you because that's part of healing also.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. If you have a spot for me, I'm willing to do it.
All right, you heard that. All is well. If you have a spot for her, she's ready.
Yeah,
I would come. I would absolutely come.
Who? I mean, can't nobody hold you back but yourself. You know what I'm saying? Can't nobody hold you back. But for so many years, I thought that people would hold me back. But it was me. They're going to talk about you regardless. You know what I'm saying?
No
when I was coming up, they used to call me baby bubble lip. I cried. I wanted a lip operation at 11. But look at people.
Bubble lip. You know how many people would love to have those lips?
You know that part right there, that behooves me.
If you could hustle those lips, you probably would.
What? Well, I just, I was, you know what I'm saying? What? So, like I said, but like it's and I love to laugh. Because I love to laugh. So, like I said, she's put my information up there. And if I could do anything to help anybody, and the person who put that up about comedian, if you get me a spot, I will come.
She will. She will. Here's her information again, guys. If you want to have Blossom speak at your church or come to your show or anything, this is her information right here on the screen. And if you want to, play this show back, it is there. Let me ask you a question, Blossom. I know you said that you forgave your stepfather for molesting you. Did you get a lot of feedback from people wanting to know, well, why you forgive him? What did he do to you? I mean, people that just didn't want to see you forgive him?
No. You know what? Like when I'm speaking, I would have people ask me, and I would tell them it's not for them, it's for me.
That's right.
Because if we don't, you know what? Like with my real father, he's dead and gone now. And him and I, we used to get high together and drink together. But he did get clean and sober before he passed away. And when he saw that I had got clean, he used to call me Big Head. He said, Big Head, don't come back here. But when we would be getting high, I would tell him, he said, nice, I don't have one, but I will come to see you. He asked me why didn't I tell him. I couldn't talk to him about nothing like that because I didn't want my dad to go to jail or prison. You know what I'm saying? You just can't talk to him. It's a time for everything. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So like I said, no, I've had people like who have been through what I have and haven't dealt with it. How do you do it? It's all God. It's not on me. It's God. It was God, y'all, because God had to teach me how to forgive myself. Because if I didn't learn how to forgive myself, I'd still be out there smoking crack. You know what I'm saying?
Now, you've given us a lot of nuggets today, but what do you want people when they see you on this documentary that's coming out, when they see you in the movie A Grandmother's Faith, when they see you here on these talk shows telling your story, what is the one single most handedly thing you want them to know about Blossom?
That I'm not up on the bridge no more. God blessed me to walk over the bridge to my destiny. So it's a process. And the bridge can take you so far. You know what I'm saying? Up under there, it's only just a little bit you can go. But once you come from up under that bridge, you can go as far as you want to. Because look, I'm working at University of Alabama. Look, in a my own documentary. You understand what I'm saying? So these are the things that you can do when you ask God. You cannot do this on your own. You got to ask God to help you. So that night when I was writing God, I was asking for help.
Yeah.
You know, so coming from
I like what Ashley says here. She says, how can we expect God to forgive us when we won't forgive others? Forgiveness is definitely for self.
That's right.
That's it.
That's it.
And it's not that hard. We just got to get out of our own way. Yeah.
We make
get
it
out
hard.
of your way and let people stop telling you, because when you have to meet Jesus, you're gonna be standing before him by yourself. Nobody's gonna be there. It's gonna be you and him.
You got beat up. He ain't gonna care nothing about that. What did I tell you to do? So that's what I'm saying about when it came to the books, because I had a lot of people that was not happy that the books came out, and I was scared. This part of me was scared. This part of me was happy because I had a book out, but I still had to continue to tell my story. Like now,
I think it's sad that you were having to convince people that you were molested. It's like you had to relive it twice. It was bad enough when these people were touching you, but now you have to convince people that this person is touching you.
That's the part right there. Yeah. That's the part that behooved you, because now I'm not saying that some of the children don't make stuff up like that, because you have some kids that will have lied on God people and they're locked up because of that. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. But if a person keeps saying the same thing over and over again and don't change the story, don't change the period, don't change the question mark, something, you know what I'm saying? So, and it's just that you got to ask God. It goes back to God. God's the only reason I'm sitting here today.
Well, I know that you said that you had to get out of here because Blossom is actually not feeling well, guys, but she was able to come to the show anyway because she is a woman of her word, and I appreciate you so much. I do.
You.
I see that Miss Jennifer. I'm gonna bring Jennifer on because I want her to say hi, or you can say hi to her before you get out of here. Miss Jennifer, yes.
It's been forever.
It has been forever. But Jennifer, I knew that she was going to come on a little bit later on today, guys, because she had a class earlier. I said, oh, great. Well, we'll just take care of Blossom first and then share your story. But Blossom is getting ready to get out. Unless you want to stay, Blossom, you're welcome to stay. But I know that she's not feeling well.
I do want to say, sorry.
Yeah.
I did want to say that I was actually listening to your story, and I think you hit really big with trying to explain yourself or having to tell people or trying to get people to believe you. And I want to say that you know what happened to you. Mm-hmm. Nobody can ever take that away from you.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And regardless of what people say or what people believe, that is your truth. And don't ever let anybody change that for you.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, I want you to see these comments, Blossom, before we get you out of here. Your book will be a movie one day. Oh,
I received that.
She receives that. Hope you feel better soon. Love your energy. I do too.
God bless.
Thank you, Kenneth. So it looks like everybody is very excited that you came on the broadcast to share your story. It's Real Talk TV, and you definitely made that truer than anyone that's ever been on my show. So I'm excited. So you take care of yourself, love, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Love you. Be blessed.
All right.
Thank y'all.
Dear. All right.
Bye. Bye-bye.
So Jennifer, how was your class?
My class is on break right now. So
okay.
We're watching a video.
I know you're like so busy. It is just unbelievable how busy you are. Because you and I have been trying to do this for a while, right? But you're always so busy.
It's been forever.
It has been a while. You know what? I don't know what I did with your card. You're gonna kill me. But that's okay. You can explain who you are. Tell everybody. Jennifer's here. She's been on the broadcast several times. She is my friend. I love her. She's got all these letters behind her name. That's because they all mean something. And she's going to tell us what they mean. So just tell everybody, Jennifer, who you are and what it is that you've been through, and just introduce yourself to us.
Where do I?
Oh, you know what? Never mind. I got it. I have to do this.
Go for it.
Because you're gonna get me for that. You go like, how you lost my car, right?
Well, people.
You know, I know, right? You know, it's because I can't see. But anyway, guys, listen. If you just tune into the Ella Johnson Show tonight, we are surviving domestic violence, and you've already heard Blossom's story. She has gone through her molestation, her rape, and everything. But she is not living under the bridge anymore, as she explained. But now we have Miss Jennifer here. Let me introduce my friend. She's a community activist. She's a journalist, counselor. She's licensed with the Offender Education Program, which is focused on justice and change. And that's why she's called Jen for Justice. Love that. She has worked alongside civil rights activist Quanell X and Crime Stopper Andy Cahan. And she's a DV survivor of severe abuse, stalking, and here's the worst part, the re-victimization by the court system. She's all gone through that. She's going to talk about that. She's on the board of directors for the Energizing Grace Ministries. That's a residential program where the adolescent girls that have been rescued, they're building this program for them. Plus, she's my friend, Jennifer. Welcome to the Ella Johnson Show.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So my name is Jennifer Knighton, and I carry all these letters behind my name. I do have a bachelor's of science in human services. I'm also a licensed chemical dependency counselor and certified anger resolution therapist. I do a lot of community work. I have become really big in activism and journalism. I've actually went viral on a couple of stories and have helped a couple of families have their children returned home to them. I've been really big on going against Child Protective Services and dealing with victims of domestic violence. One of the biggest reasons that I got involved is because of my own story. I am a 2-time survivor of domestic violence. And I always tell people, you know, it could happen to anybody. As a professional, it happened to me. As a person that not only worked in the field, but a person that had the education and had the title behind her name, I still became a victim. It doesn't discriminate. And anybody that needs help, you know, you don't know what others have gone through just because we carry a title or just because we are in the place that we're in right now doesn't mean that we've always been there. So very important to remember. But yeah, I've also experienced, re-victimization within the court. I don't know how our court system is so messed up. It, instead of protecting victims or reducing re-victimization, it's kind of they side a lot of times with the offenders, and it's really unfortunate because as a victim, as a survivor, it's already difficult to come forward,
right?
And
right.
To face that re-victimization, especially, you know, a lot of victims or survivors, they don't have support. You know, they've gotten away from everybody. So to go into court and face the re-victimization, it can be really tough, almost causing the victim to want to go back to the abuser.
Well, I want to go back because I want to take people through your story, Jennifer, because, you know, for you, I mean, you're just a busy beaver. I mean, you guys are getting ready to break ground over in Mexico, right? For girls that were trafficked, that were victims of trafficking.
Yes, so we're actually in the process of opening up a rehab for victims of trafficking in Mexico.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm talking about. You took that pain and it's leading you right to your purpose, because what happens is that when things happen to us, guys, like real talk, it somehow creates a passion in us to make sure that no one else goes through it. That's just a very natural thing. A lot of people don't give into those instincts, but you did. But I want to take everybody through your story. So let's take us back to when your abuse began.
My abuse began when I was a child. Went through a lot of I think the first time I experienced abuse, I was about 3 years old. It was almost like I was born, like I was screwed from birth.
Wow, it seems that way. Well, we know that's not the truth, but it seems that way, right?
Yeah.
So when you say 3 years old, I know people are saying, how could that have possibly started when you were 3?
Yeah, you know, my family trusted a neighbor, and I was molested at 3, and from there it was like everything just continued on to it became kind of I didn't know anything else. Like abuse was all I knew. So it went from being sexually abused as a child to thinking this is what I deserve, right? So I grew up and then I started getting into unhealthy relationships. And the first relationship that I was in that was physically and mentally abusive, I was 14 years old. And
who was that with? Was that a boyfriend or a boyfriend?
Yeah. And I stayed until I was about 20, almost 20. And you know, it was something that I thought I deserved, or it was normal. That was, I mean, I didn't know anything.
How did you fight back? How did you fight back, Jennifer, or did you?
I did not really. I just left. It wasn't until 2013 that, so I was 14 then, and then I developed an eating disorder at 16, and I struggled for about 16 years. And in 2014, I put myself through rehab. And it was then that I started to realize, like, this is not a way of living. I can't live like this. And I didn't want my kids to live like that. So I put myself through rehab. I went through an outpatient program, and then from there I went back to school, and I became a drug counselor, and then I learned more about substance abuse. I learned more about my childhood and kind of why things played out the way that they did and how I needed to correct it. And I went to undergrad. I got my bachelor's in 2017. And then not long after that, I got into a relationship and I was victimized again. It was something, you know, it's like one of those stories that people talk about in the movies that you'd never.
You look at it and you're like, oh, she was crazy. What? There's no way I would go back. And then you find yourself in that situation. So, I mean, what was it? There has to be something, because you're not the first and you won't be the last, Jennifer, that goes back and finds these same types of guys. Is it because you feel like they're going to somehow be different? Or what is it that attracts you to those guys?
I think one of the biggest thing is the misconception of, you know, again, like I had the education, I had the knowledge, I had the experience, but again, it doesn't discriminate. Like it could happen, it could happen to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it does, even with, let's look at law enforcement, like 40% of, I want to say 40% of people in law enforcement experience domestic violence relationships. That's high, right? We're talking about law enforcement. They're supposed to protect and serve, right? But if you take away their title, take away their position, who are they? They're humans, right?
That's right. Absolutely.
And that's what a lot of people fail to realize or fail to understand, that it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter where I come from. I could come from the bestest of the best and it could still happen to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you were in these domestic violence, what were they all very similar in how you were being abused? I know you said mental and physical. Which is worse? The mental abuse or the physical abuse? Which is worse?
Bruises heal,
but that mental doesn't.
Cuts, and cuts turns into scars. But that mental abuse is very real, and it's extremely painful, traumatizing. Stalking is horrific.
So tell us about that. The stalking. How did that come into play? So when you decided to leave, what did they just didn't want to let go? How did that come into your story?
That was a lot of it. I think a lot of it had to do with intimidation and playing on my weakness and playing on my vulnerabilities of not just being weak, but of being giving, of being a forgiving person, an understanding person, of being somebody that was empathetic, right? Because abusers play on that. I'm sorry. Okay, he's sorry. Now my empathy starts to kick in, and now I'm trying to save him, right? Because I can help him. I'm a professional. Like, I've been through this. When in reality, you can't help a person that doesn't want to help themselves.
So we all think that they're going to change it. And even in a non-domestic violence relationship, whether it's a guy that just can't control himself and he's cheating all the time, we still think that we can love them to change, right? Yeah. Like, well, I can handle this. You thought you could handle it, but there was something inside of him. Do you think that men that abuse women were probably abused in some way when they were younger? That it was something learned? Or do you think they just decide, I want to control her? I mean, where do you think it comes from, just in your professional opinion?
I think that it can stem from a lot of different things, whether it's insecurities, whether it's childhood abuse themselves, whether it's something that they witnessed as a child, from their own parents. But at the end of the day, what people have to understand is we have choices in life. You have a choice to become what you saw, or you have a choice to do something different. Because not everybody that was abused becomes an abuser.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, there's only a certain percentage that is one of the reasons. Because I was talking about juvenile offenders that actually rape other juveniles, and the ages were like from 10 to 19. And a lot of the reason, it wasn't the only reason, but a lot of the reasons they become that is because it's historical in their life. It's something that happened to them.
Learned behavior, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, going back to, if you know, I mean, we're taught right from wrong from a very young age.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So and you said, it's a choice. Yeah.
Yeah. This is right. This is wrong. And if it's been addressed, like I wasn't the first victim. I'm sure I'm not going to be the last. This is a continued pattern. Right. So if you're doing this over and over and over again, and I think one of the biggest issues is not being held accountable by the criminal justice system.
Say that. Yes, we definitely got to get into that. You've seen a lot when it comes to how you're re-victimized again. Because I think this is very important for people that do want to fight back in the way you did. Because some people, they fight them, they call the cops, and nothing happens, and it just fizzles away. But in your case, you go into the court systems, and tell us a little bit about what you experience when you go that route.
One of the cases went missing. It was unfiled. The other case, one of the other cases was dismissed because it was supposed to be used in the felony case. But the felony case somehow disappeared. And today, I don't know what happened. What I have learned is you can only go so far, but you can't control the outcome. Right. I did my part. I left the paper trail because although maybe I didn't seek or I didn't receive all that justice, however, I left a paper trail for the next victim. So it's documented. This person has a history, right? Just like in my case, they saw that there was a history prior to me. So at some point, it's going to come and it's going to catch up to him.
Right.
Might not be with me. It might not be with the next one, but at some point, it should catch up.
Yeah. Does that frustrate you? Does it make you try harder, or does it make you say, you know what, to hell with this? I'm done. Like where does it place you when you see that you're being re-victimized over and over?
As an advocate, I think like my big thing was, okay, well, if I'm out here fighting for other people, right, then I owe that to myself as well. And I fought to the same lengths that I would fight for any other survivor, any other victim, any other family. But we all know, like, again, we can't control the outcome, right? We have hope that we have the outcome that we want, but it's not promised.
Right.
And my focus has just been more on doing what I can do within the community. I did help a victim. She went through kind of the same court, had an attorney that didn't really know what's going on, no experience, and kept telling her, go through this court, file an order. And I remember she used to call me crying. She didn't have anything. She had lost everything, and kept telling her, just keep fighting. She
lost everything. Like what? Her home?
She didn't have a home anymore. The dude was trying to take her kids from her.
Oh my gosh.
And unfortunately, what abusers do is they'll provoke you, and they'll get you. And then once you finally react, they start recording you. And, this girl, she didn't have anything. And, she keep fighting. And finally she got a protective order. And then, even after the protective order, the dude still kept on going. And, I'm like, this is where it's your turn to stand up for yourself. Like, you have to advocate for yourself. And she did. And the dude finally went to jail.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So are you set up to be able to help domestic violence victims who need to get out? I mean, are you tell us about that, because I know that some of these letters must mean that. Some of these letters that are behind your name must mean that you're in a position to actually sit and represent someone in a court hearing, correct?
So I can go as an advocate and just kind of be there as support and stuff. Obviously it's always important to, try and seek legal representation. However, we know that sometimes that's not possible. So I try to guide people and teach them, how to self-advocate. Like, you have rights, you have a voice, you have to use it. Because if not, then what are you doing? You're just giving up. You're giving in. And we can't do that. No.
Exactly, because that's the only way it's going to change. And it's like, just with everything, and we were talking about this earlier with Blossom, with everything, and we were talking about this last night too on the show, everything has a principle behind it. It's like, okay, yeah, I may be out, I may be safe, but what about that young lady that comes along? Because I personally think, Jennifer, and I know you're going to eventually do this, the laws have to change too, for people to feel safe enough to call the police. Now, are you doing some advocacy work towards that at this time?
Not really. I think that's kind of out of my interest.
Oh, okay. About changing the law?
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of the whole political jargon stuff.
Yeah, I know that. I know that for a fact.
That's like a headache in itself. It really is.
How do we change it though? How do we change this system where a woman can call the police and the guy can get out on a PR bond, and now he's back at the house and she's dead now because they let him out off of some dumb reason?
Caitlin's story, Melanie's story.
Yeah, Melanie. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's Melanie. Yeah.
I mean, it's.
I know she's working on some law changing things because of her daughter. I do know that. I'm not sure if it came to pass yet, but
I don't
mean,
think
that,
so.
Yeah.
And that's one of the issues is, you can have all these laws, like everything looks good on paper.
Right, right.
But who's really implementing it? Because if you think like law enforcement, they have a culture, right? And they have their personal opinions, and then you have biased people, and then you go in front of a court and
Jennifer, do you have a light over there so we can see you? Yeah, turn the light on, because I know I'm sitting here, Phil. I'm talking to a silhouette, and she's too beautiful for me not to see her face. Look at that.
Sorry.
And there was light. God said, "Let there be light," and there was light.
There was light.
No, there was light. Because I was trying to find the time to stop you, because I said I can't go this entire interview and let her see it, play it back. And she's like, "Ella, why did you say
in the dark?"
Yeah, you would have been like, "Ella." I didn't want to have to say, "Well." So now we can see you. So now we can continue. What were we saying now?
So you're talking about the laws.
About the laws. That's right.
I don't know. I think that's a touchy subject. There's a lot of laws, but people don't follow the law. So what do? You got people that go into a courthouse and.
So how did you get out when you were being abused by your abusers? Because you are a 2-time domestic violence survivor. How did you get out? What was your plan?
The last time, I think because of the education and because of the support that I had, it was easier. And I struggled, but I knew that was not the life I wanted for myself, and I didn't want that for my kids. And I knew that it was not going to get better. What
was your plan though, Jennifer? How did you, because there may be some young woman sitting on the couch right now. She's living with this guy and she's like, okay, what do I do? He pays all the bills. He has all the money. He didn't allow me to work. I have these kids. Where do I go? Who do I tell? I can't go to a shelter because you can't really trust that. I can't go to the cops because you really can't trust that. So what is she to do to come up with a plan? How do you even begin to figure out how to get out?
Start taking notes, start documenting stuff, coming up with, okay, well, if I leave, this is what could happen. This is what, this is where I might be able to go. If that doesn't work, okay, then I can go here, and kind of preparing for the reality, right? It's not, I walked away and now I'm going to live happily ever after.
No, that's not going to happen.
It doesn't work that way. It is a battle. It is a fight. And probably the biggest thing that I've heard is in most survivors is it was just easier to stay.
And that's so sad to me because you're going to probably die. It's possible that you may not make it out. It's like Russian roulette. And then not only are you playing Russian roulette with your life, but you're playing Russian roulette with your kids, especially if they're there watching this. Now, in your situation, did your kids ever see you get hit?
They didn't see me get hit, but on one occasion, my kids did call the police. I was locked in a room, and they were worried. I tried to downplay a lot of stuff. It was confusing, especially being a professional. How the hell did I let this happen to me? Of all people.
And see, that's exactly where I think we mess up, because it's an image that is supposed to look like, it's like, this is who you are and this is what you're supposed to look like. And then when it doesn't look the same, it look as what everybody, and it's like, who created what it's supposed to look like? You're living in the suburbs. Who created that? Right. It's textbook. So it's like, how do we break away from that so we can be free? Because it seems to me that people who are trying to protect that image are the ones in the most bondage.
And I always tell people, even in my classes now, I do a lot of classes with people that have received DWIs and repeat offenders. Actually, with people that have issues with the legal system. And I tell them all the time, like, you're not alone. Like, it could happen to me, right? And I'm a professional, and these are the things that I've been through, like, and this is who I am, right? It doesn't discriminate. It could happen to anybody. However, I'm here to tell you that you're not alone, for one. And the first thing that you have to let go of is that shame. Because I think that's the biggest thing that keeps people stuck, especially as professionals, because the first thing that you hear is, but you're a professional. How could you let something like this happen?
You've actually heard that? Has someone ever said that to you?
Absolutely. Like, you didn't see the red flags? Well, if I saw the red flags, fucktard, then I wouldn't have stayed in the relationship. If I saw the red flags, I wouldn't have gotten into the relationship.
I think sometimes people just don't know what to say. Sometimes we should just be quiet.
Not say anything at all.
Yeah, just don't say anything. There's nothing wrong with silence, I'm telling you. Because when you're dealing with someone in an abusive,
we always think that we have to say something. Sometimes it's just better, like, for some people to just shut up.
Just give a hug and keep it moving. Yeah, because I think that when we give advice to someone, and I think I think this is my advice I would give to someone that's in an abusive situation. Just don't take advice from everybody. Because some people don't really know what you should do. And they're just like, well, girl, if it was me, if I hear that one more time, well, if it was me, right?
If I have heard me, I'd have been gone.
Oh, child, I would have never let a man put his hand on me, baby. No. There's some people that they do stand by that because they're fighters too. But you never know when it'll creep up on you, right? And like you said, it can happen to anybody. And before you know it, because you're like, I love this man, I don't want to leave him. My children need a father. You start making reasons why you have to stay, but we have to be just as vigilant about making reasons to go, and it's easier said than done. I've never been in a situation to give anybody advice on what to do. But just on what I've learned, Jennifer, from all these interviews and talking with you and all the stories I've heard, we have to have a plan though. And on one of my shows, Miss Tina Lewis, I loved it because she had a plan. She was like, okay, I'm going to go to the doctor and then I'm going to go ahead before he notices anything. I'm going to change the money from his account to mine just so I have enough money to get out of here with. And then I'm going to make plans. So when she made her break, she had money, but she was putting money in that account as well. She had money and then she had a car and she had a place that she was going to go. She had a plan and it worked because he eventually just gave up. See, sometimes in your case, they stalked you. Okay. But in some cases, they'll just give up and say, you know what? It's not worth it. I'm done.
That's the hard part is every situation is different.
Every situation is different. Absolutely.
To dissect it and look at every detail of it, because for some people, they can just walk away and be done. And then, for other people, it's leaving is actually one of the most dangerous times is when a woman is trying to leave or when a victim is trying to leave. That is usually when a victim is killed.
It's when they try to leave. Ooh.
Yeah.
And so, but this is the thing too, like we can't talk about domestic violence without trying to figure a way to bring a solution to it. Because people are still getting killed. Women are still going back. Women are afraid to call the cops. The cops aren't doing what they're supposed to do. They come, they side with the man, and then they say, y'all just need to figure this out. Miss Carolyn Peterson was on my broadcast, and she talks about all the times she called the cops. At least 1,000 times she called the cops. They did nothing. Her son is dead because of it. So, I mean, he didn't kill her, but he killed their son. So I just think that we can't talk about it without talking about that. But I do, before we get out of here, I do want to go over to some of the stuff that you have going on, Miss Lady, because you are a beast. Let's see here. Where are my pictures?
While you're looking at that, I will be right back in 2 seconds.
Okay, good deal. So guys, if you are just tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show, I am here with Miss Jennifer Miss Blossom was here earlier, and on tonight's broadcast, it's a birthday 53 series for my birthday, and we're live all this week. And while she's doing that, I can tell you tomorrow night we have an amazing show, because on tomorrow night, let's see which one of these is Wednesday show. That's not Wednesday. That was last night. Sorry, guys, I can't really see. So I'm going to bring up all the shows till I get the right one. Okay. There it is. Tomorrow night on the Ella Johnson Show, we are celebrating our history. As you know, Juneteenth is coming up next weekend, and we are celebrating it here on this show by remembering Rosewood and the Tulsa Race Massacre, right? And that's going to be here tomorrow night. I'll be with Terry and Lizzie and Barbara, and we're going to talk about Rosewood and the Tulsa Race Massacre. So I want to make sure you guys tune in tomorrow night for that. Jennifer's back. Yes.
I'm back.
So let's bring this up. Where's that picture? This is one. Who is this guy that's with you here?
That is my friend Andy Kahn from Crime Stoppers. He is a victims advocate. He's the director of victim services. He's also in charge of, he does a lot of stuff in the community with victims of family members that have been murdered. And
how do you assist with them? What are some of the projects that you guys have worked on together with?
Just like with press conferences. I've run a few stories that he's done. And
so you're helping in a lot of ways. Like you were a victim of domestic violence, and you're an advocate in so many ways through your journalism, through your assistance with these types of projects, representing people in court. Like you're going way over and beyond. So the next thing is you're going to probably become a lawyer. So you can represent people. Who knows? You may have to represent me one day. You just never know.
We already went through that one, Ella.
Yeah, we did.
I was gonna go to law school, and then I
you know a lot about EEOC too. I should have had you on last night because we talked about that. But I want you to be a part of those shows because you do have a lot of knowledge when it comes to EEOC and how to handle that kind of stuff. Let's see here. I have another picture here. What is going on here? That
is my friend Sylvia, and she's actually going to be my partner and that is actually the project that we are working on right now. One of the projects for the house that we're going to open for the refuge, the safe house for girls.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So it overlooks the mountains. It's in the middle of
New Mexico. Is this the one in New Mexico?
In Mexico. Mm-hmm.
Mexico.
It is in a secluded area, overlooks the mountains, and yeah.
See, I want to come for that. When you guys get ready to open the doors, I need to be there so we could go live and talk to some of the girls, and well, of course, with their families are there with their consent. But I'm just so proud of you. I am just so proud of you and the work you're doing. How are the kids? How's that?
The kids are good. I'm actually kidless right now. They are on vacation and enjoying each other, because I have an adult child now. So she gets to take her kids like they're like if they were her grandkids, and
wow.
And they're enjoying each other. They're doing really good, and they've been extremely supportive. We've all been through a lot. I think when was it 2-3 years? How long has it been since I came on here?
It's been a while.
Have my daughter graduated?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so yeah, my older daughter, she'll be 21. She graduated in 2020. It's been 3 years, and then her girlfriend, they got married this year, and then her girlfriend went to the Air Force, and actually they just moved to New Mexico.
Oh, wow.
So they're 21 years old and living on their own. They're actually doing really, really good, and they're like,
it has to feel good to know that you've
Absolutely.
set them up to make good decisions for their lives. And now they're, despite all of the stuff that they may have seen. And that's the thing that's near and dear to me, Jennifer, is when women are in a domestic violence situation and there's kids in the house.
Resilient.
That I think has to happen. There has to be something different, a different choice made when there's children involved. That's just how I see it.
And it's tough.
Because they'll end up on my show talking about what they saw, right?
Yeah.
And
it's extremely tough. I mean, there's no. I think, again, going back to the biggest misconception is I'm going to leave and we're going to live happily ever after. You know, it doesn't happen that way. And it's really unfortunate, but it is the reality. And the sooner that people accept that, the sooner that they can look towards healing and living a fulfilling life. Because once you get out, you have to find some sort of purpose. Like, I leave, now what?
That's right. So how do they find that purpose, Jennifer? What do you think? How do they figure out what it is that their purpose should be, and what they should be doing with their lives?
I think one of the biggest things, like, especially for me personally, like I kind of went all the way back to my childhood. You know, what did I want to do when I was growing up? Like, everything that was taken from me, what is it that I wanted?
Ooh, yeah,
and
I like that.
And I remember growing up, I used to love to help people. And I used to say when I was a kid, like, well, when I get older, I want to be a counselor. But that was robbed of me. I lost that dream, right? And I kept looking into those things. Okay, well, I want to ride a four-wheeler. Like, I couldn't do that when I was a kid. Like, we couldn't afford it. Or I want to go and eat a burger at Burger King. Like, I couldn't do that because, maybe we couldn't afford it, or maybe it just wasn't able to. So I started going back into my childhood, and with that, I was looking for healing, looking at where did I want to go, what did I want to do when I was growing up, but also looking at, like, well, why did these things happen? Right. Because you can't solve a problem if you don't know what the problem is.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that, because that leads me to the two quotes that I love that we're going to end the broadcast on. One is that if you have a pulse, you have a purpose. All right. Because when we're talking about people get out of these situations and it's like, now what? I truly believe, Jennifer, and to all of you that are watching, that your purpose is built around your passion. And whenever you go through something that's painful, you will learn how to care about others in it. It's just a natural reaction to trouble. Is that when what's the one thing we all say? Ooh, child, I would wish this on my worst enemy. Mm-hmm. The reason we feel that is because inside we know we have to do something about it. Absolutely. Now, we may not make it a perfect situation, but each one of us has something inside of us that can change the world. And if we tap into it, and it's easy to tap into it, all you have to do is look at the stuff you've been through. You didn't go through it for no reason at all. You went through it for a reason. The second quote of the night is, you can't confront something. You're not going to be able to, let me get it right. You're not going to be able to conquer something unless you're able to confront it first. We want to get over, we want to win, we want to be successful and all this stuff, but we're still holding all this baggage from when we were 6 and 7 years old. In Jennifer's case, 3 years old, she was being sexually molested. In Blossom's case, she was 5 years old when she started being molested. So she had to eventually, as well as Jennifer, we have to eventually confront that thing so that we can conquer it. And you did just that, Miss Lady with the letters. I love to see that, because that tells me that you have had to be tried and true. But those letters do not speak volume to me like your experience does, Jennifer. And I know a lot of what you've been through, and you're still a fighter, and you're just still making things happen. And I applaud you. Is there anything you want to leave with everybody about you and about what you do? While you say that, I want to bring up your information here so people will know how to find you.
Probably the biggest thing is that it's never too late to change. And you know, we all go through things in life. Like, I want to encourage people to look at Brené Brown, and she talks a lot about shame and shame resilience. And like, that was one of the biggest things that helped me, because I used to always think like, shit, I'm alone. And in reality, we're not. And if we could accept that, if we could learn to connect to people, then this world will be a better place.
Wow.
Like, connection
what is it that you could do for people? Because I know that you helped that young lady. Are you able to help people if are they able to contact you if they're in a domestic violence situation? And
you can contact me for anything. I like to talk shit to people. I like to call people out.
I can vouch for that.
I've done, this one story, like, it got over 1 million something views. This family got their kids back from CPS.
She's an excellent journalist too, guys. She's excellent.
I just, I find a lot of passion there, just helping people advocate and how it all comes together. Cause people think like, oh, you just wrote something up, but it's really a lot of work. Like, journalism is extremely challenging, and to face these government entities, it's not easy, but I've taken it on, and I'm not afraid to. I mean, that I filed a lawsuit against the largest university in the United States.
We didn't go into any of that tonight, guys. Maybe we will the next time, but yeah, she did. And that takes a lot of courage, Jennifer.
Yeah.
My gosh. I saw some of her paperwork and I was like, you did this? She's like, girl, yes, I did this.
My number's public.
I love it.
Absolutely. My phone number is public. Anything, if I can't directly help you out with it, I can refer you to somebody. I got drug classes, alcohol and substance abuse classes, victim impact. That's what I do also, like, full time. And then advocacy. And of course, journalism. Like, if you got a story, don't hesitate. Like, I will make it work.
We have another one of those stories I want you to do for job discrimination. Another one. Yeah.
Oh God.
She's like, Ella, girl, listen, you're trying to keep. She's like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, okay, call me later.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about it. But guys, listen, we definitely got to get out of here. This show will be rebroadcast. So if you're watching the replay, thank you so much. And I hope that you guys will share this broadcast, because domestic violence is something that goes silent right in our own families. You could have someone in your family right now that's suffering in silence. If you or someone are victims of domestic violence, please call the National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-SAFE. We're going to definitely get out of here, but we will be back tomorrow night for another show. I brought that up to you guys earlier. We're going to be celebrating our history on tomorrow night with Juneteenth. And you might want to, tune in, because I know you're an activist now. So, Cornell X and all these people, I know you'll appreciate the show tomorrow night. But guys, thank you all so much for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show. And we'll see you again tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye, Jen. Talk to you later, dear. All right.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show. We'll see you next time.
We are supporters of the Ella Johnson Show. We live in South Korea. We have been watching Ella Johnson Show for like a year now. And we love her show. Her show is very inspirational, motivational, and educational.
If you would like to be a guest on the Ella Johnson Show, send an email to theellajohnsonshow@gmail.com or send a text message to 407-334-6997.
Johnson Show.